state standards and textbooks are just a baseline here. What happens in a classroom largely depends on teachers, who have a very difficult job, often working with scant resources, meaning that, among other things, they may not be able to get updated versions of textbooks. And some work really hard to correct poor materials, but others can actually make things even worse with tone-deaf assignments and classroom exercises that you may be familiar with from seeing local news stories like these.
This is the activity in question. It asks students to choose to be a slave or a slave owner, and then to write a journal entry that describes daily activities before the Civil War.
The question about slavery read, you own a plantation or farm and therefore need more workers. Set your price for a slave. These could be worth a lot.
This North Carolina grandmother couldn't believe the assignment given to her fourth grader.
And in this game, it's called Escaping Slavery.
A slavery-themed Monopoly-like game students played in elementary school. Children worked in small groups, got this Freedom Punch card. If the group ran into trouble, the card said they'd be severely punished and sent back to the plantation to work as a slave.
So were they going to hang them? Are they going to kill them?
What the fuck are you doing there? You can't reduce a person's freedom from slavery down to what is basically a Jimmy John's punch card. And just imagine what it would feel like to be a black kid in that classroom. Or, if you don't have to imagine, remember. Because it's not just the history that hurts here, it's how you're being made to feel while you learn it. And the frequency with which stories like those tend to crop up may have something to do with the fact that the overwhelming majority of school teachers are white, and many may have grown up learning the same skewed version of history that they are now passing on. And when you take all of this together, we're giving kids incomplete educations in history while also doing real harm. Because those kids grow up. Just listen to this guy from Tulsa explaining how he felt when he finally found out about that 1921 massacre that happened where he lived.
When I went to OU in 1998, I was sitting in a class of African American history. And the professor was talking about this place where black people had businesses and had money and had doctors and lawyers. And he said it was in Tulsa. And I raised my hand and said, no, I'm from Tulsa. That's not accurate. And he was talking about this massacre, riot. I said, man, what are you talking about? I said, I went to school on Greenwood. I've never heard of this ever.
That's terrible. And his school really let him down there. Think of the emotional whiplash that man must have gone through. He found out something amazing had once existed, right where he lived, something horrible had taken it away, and that the history had been kept from him. And all of this had happened less than 100 years ago. The dinosaurs died 65 million years ago, and you would still be absolutely floored if someone only just told you about them. I'm sorry, there were what? Where? What do you mean everywhere? And they were how big? Some of them could fly? What happened to them? Oh no! How the fuck is this the first time someone's mentioning this to me?